Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the most Terran player out there. In the red, it's Micro Jackson, ByuN's. Up against his longtime nemesis, we have in the blue, it is Sue. A best of 3 Terran versus Zerg. These players facing off for over a decade in professional StarCraft 2, and if I have it my way, it'll be another one as well. But if I can't get that, hopefully there's one thing I can get, which is you to like. And if you haven't made it there yet, subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? 1,351 likes on this video, on this cast, on this series. I'll cast another one, and I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. These two beginning their professional careers early on in Wings of Liberty. Sue, well known as the player second best, losing more GSL finals than almost any player has participated in, besides maybe like Maru. ByuN, on the other hand, is more of a roller coaster. A world champion, but he's had some heartbreaking losses in the past, and recently overshadowed by his prodigal son, Clem, who, it's kind of crazy that, well, not quite, but closer to being the next generation of StarCraft 2. But Sue and ByuN are these classic players. That's such a nice way to put it. Ah, a classic player. Just like many of you are classic players. Even Classic, on frequent occasion, is a classic player. But play this old school sort of style. Is it because they're old and they fear change? Not really relevant. But both Sue and ByuN recently have, I'm not going to say reverted, but embraced that just mass bio, and in the case of the Zerg, mass bio as well. Mass Ultralisks, Banelings, Mutas, the lists and the lings, and of course, Hellion Banshee. And even though Sue got a quick lair here, caught without an Overseer, at least on his own side of the map, and kind of an unforced error. Even getting the lair, but not having the Overseer means that the Banshee racks up 3 kills and a lot of mining time lost, though. The Queens, almost, and get off my screen! Brenda, oh my. 5 kills. ByuN doubled back into the Queen knitting needles there. An SCV. Looks like both players kind of sending units every which way to start things off. But, otherwise, 4 bases. Wow, he's at 74 drones, despite the losses. These Marines, yes. The Royal Escort, bringing the SCV back, but a whole bunch of Marines. I'm gonna go ahead and assume there are medevacs on the way somewhere, as even ByuN is not that optimistic with a bunch of unmedevac Marines. But he's gonna have 1-1. He's gonna have combat shield. And with a siege tank in tow, he has an opportunity to pressure that 4th base, especially because Sue invested in so many drones. He doesn't even have a Baneling nest. He does have roach speed. All right, he does have roach speed. But not really enough roaches to deal with this. 1 Ravager, not going to help too much against the tanks. 3 Ravagers, much better, but they're going to have to close the distance against the Marines. The Queens will help a lot with that. 1-1 just finished, but he actually unsieged, picked up the tank, and got out. And ByuN is able to slip away with minimal losses. Though Sue deflects the attack, and that means his 4th base is secured. ByuN, 70 LCVs, starts 2-2 right on the dot as that armory finishes up. Sue's got a hive at a pretty uncomfortably quick timing if you're a Terran. And because that first attack was driven back, that means Sue has map control. He's going to spread the creep out even further. And any sort of early pressure ByuN put on is going to evaporate in the face of this level of Zerg economy. Sue just needs to get to Hive, to Vipers, to Adrenal Glands. Well, when you list it out like that, it sounds like a lot, but really it's not that much in the grand scheme of things. That Hive tech makes it so much more effective, and we have to figure out which ByuN do we have today. The ByuN who wants to microbio M&M until he wins, or many times nowadays loses? Or is he going to add Magos into the composition and really complete it? Because right now Sue has enough on the field, even without Banelings, in order to drive back. ByuN picks up and he heads towards the natural. Why not give it a shot? The anti-air is minimal. Ah, Ricky the accidental swarm host. It's been a while since we saw a cameo in the production tab. The Queen's trying to outflank this. The corrosive bow's way too late on the draw, and +2 melee weapons is shut down. As the Evo Chamber's in an unfortunate position, the Queen's... Wow, you guys need to lay off the stims over here. That's 2 or 3 stims before they've really had any opportunity to be healed by the medevacs. So a lot of those Marines immediately have to pop back in. But losing the melee attack upgrade is a mild to moderate inconvenience for Sue, who will not be deterred from slapping down an Ultraless Cavern. Very few things could deter Sue from slapping down an Ultraless Cavern. Is Ricky on the field? Did he actually cancel the Swarm Host, or did he kill it? I'm not going to go back and find out. It's not that important to me, but I would like to know if the Swarm Host popped out and he just killed it, or if he realized it before it finished. Both are amusing to me. 2-2 finishing. Sue is going to have to catch up in those upgrades. He's got adrenal glands on the way. And the Vipers are on the field. ByuN does not even have a gun. Don't put the buildings into the rocks! Yes, I know they technically count as buildings, so therefore take extra damage from banelings. You know what? I'm not even sure that's true. And I probably shouldn't find out, because using banelings to take down rocks is not exactly the ideal methodology. But, wow, ByuN just stims onto the creep. Where are you going? Strike for the heart of the swarm. The banelings crashing in. Wow, ByuN stims his entire Marine force. Will gun down every single Zergling, but he may have gone too deep and too greedily. The medevacs, some of them damaged. One will go down to the parasitic bomb. Another 3 medevacs. ByuN, what have you done? I mean, he's killed a whole bunch of drones, and he's not done yet, as the parasitic bombs aren't enough to kill a medevac, and they don't stack, but Sue cleans this up. ByuN just throws 50 Marines straight up the gut and gets some drones for it. He buys some time, but Sue didn't even lose a hatchery. So he did lose like 100 Zerglings, which is a sizable number. And this, it wasn't that ByuN's gonna do it again. It bought time for him to finish the Ghost Academy. In fact, these drops are still dragging him back. All right. So the drops are serving a purpose. He's paying for it in Marine blood. He's buying himself the time he needs to get a much more capable composition. And now, the ghosts are on the field. The siege tank count grows. The command center count explodes, as it always does with ByuN. And most Terrans nowadays, when we get to this stage, investing in command centers so the SCVs can replace themselves with automation. No, not you, Billy. Your job is totally safe. You can do, like, art or something. That probably won't be replaced by automation. You'll be fine. The siege tanks covering the Marines and the ghosts. And kites back. Sue, if I know Sue at all, these ghosts and tanks will not deter him from attacking with the Ultras, the Lings, the Banelings. No matter how good a unit composition ByuN builds against this sort of army, that won't stop Sue from testing the waters of Oceanborn. Oh, that's a lot of siege tanks. 11 tanks with +2 mech weapons done. Quite a spread as well. Looking like a campaign mission here. I'm not sure which side is the player. Somehow both. The Zerg, unlimited Zerglings, Ultras, plenty of spellcasters and creep everywhere. The Terran, okay, it's the Terran campaign. The Sue is the enemy in this case. It's looking just like that last mission. In fact, ByuN may have a better army than you get as Rainer. That final mission just needs the mercenary compound. It's like, oh, can these Marines replace my ghosts? I'll just micro them. Well, I mean, things will slow down as both players are filling in the last parts of the composition. But Sue has more money in the bank. ByuN will want to contest at least one of these side bases in order to maintain something resembling parity. Picks up into the medevac. Parasitic Bomb is, I'm sure, queued up on those medevacs. He manages to throw them out there. Maybe a couple medevacs will die. The Ultras chew things up. The medevac dead before all of it can pop out, and so is the command center before any sort of repair. 19 SCVs, and Sue takes a relatively clean fight to knock that base out of commission. As, of course, just killing the planetary is not going to be enough. Chitin is plating. All the Ultra upgrades done. He technically has a Spire completed. He hasn't yet made it great again, but more Ultras. +3 melee attack now completing. Transfuses on the surviving, I think, singular Ultra. ByuN has 11 ghosts, 13 tanks now. He's, wow. We're adding 3 more factories. Becoming a bit more mechanically inclined. And eventually, we'll be replacing. He's down to 4 Marauders and 10 Marines. He now has more siege tanks than any bio unit. So, certainly a more flexible well, actually not a very flexible composition, just a stronger one against the ground-based army. Sue needs a Broodlord switch. He doesn't know it yet. But at some point, as long as you don't stand in a wide open square, like Banks decided to set up his forces on Corhole. I don't know why I'm doing so much campaign commentary here. That's an odd one. This many planetaries and tanks, though. Another planetary down. The Banelings. Again, relatively cost-effective. It's going to be costly to break these bases, but it could be a lot worse. ByuN, on the other hand, gonna get a hatchery for free, though. They don't shoot back. The drones, many of them will be taken out, but Sue probably doesn't need more than 70 or so. An Infestor on the way. Sue even gonna try some Brood Infestor play. He's up against... Oh my god. Well, it's gonna be one of those. Why is building armor canceled? He restarts on a different... Well... He restarted on a different engineering bay for some reason, but... Now, Liberators, ship weapons. Does he have a fusion core for advanced ballistics? Not yet. I assume it will be coming eventually. Another group of units knocks out a medevac. Another ghost dead. There are 3 planetaries. Planetaries can't fly away from the Banelings. This is an important... Oh my god. Well, Sue has been doing a solid job of knocking out the outlying bases. If he can deny enough of them... Oh my god. Those siege tanks... Brett! Green gun down. How many tanks? 20! 20 siege tanks. It's just mech now. And he has enough orbitals to scan multiple times simultaneously. Map hack with extra APM. Not like dropping mules is going to be a big priority at this moment, as we're now in a war to see how much is in the bank, as opposed to winning a fight outright. Now the ghosts will retreat. The siege tanks clearing out the vast majority of units before they get anywhere close to touching the ghosts. And another army up to the north side. Sue dips 50 supply, and this time it's going to be hard to recover. 11 Hydras added in. Feels like Sue's scrambling a bit to try to figure out what sort of unit composition he wants, whereas ByuN is refining his. Hellbats, siege tanks, blue flame, mech plating, liberators, planetaries. It looks like he's even going to make a planetary on the high ground up here. You have to get through multiple waves or multiple layers of planetary defense. Well, still no greater spire to Sue. Knocks out another base. And banelings, and this is true, cost gas. There's a fungal, and gets one of them out of X. Knocks it out of the sky. Some ghosts inside. Fusion core, now added on. Though, yeah, almost certainly for the advanced ballistics. Another base, well, just taken out. No, that's just gonna be a no. The Venn diagrams of freedom, the overlapping siege tanks. If he was any sort of reptile here, he would indeed be a turtle. Despite the carapace upgrades of his opponent, we've got 8 corruptors on the way. Plus 3 flyer attack. The ghosts, oh, but some parasitic bombs here means there's no evac for these units. But they will get a few more snipes before being run down by the banelings. Pretty sure the siege tank finished off those ghosts. More snipes. Oh, manually detonates several banes. But unless you brought 7 or 8 of them, because ghosts are not light units, neither are they heavy. They're just right. AKA, the banelings don't get bonus damage, so they're surprisingly... It makes it very hard for the banelings to trade effectively, in general. Now, he saw the corruptors. He saw the corruptors. Yeah. A wave of scans across the field. And even though there isn't a greater spire, that means Thor's on the way, because anticipating brood lords. Is there neural parasite on these infestors? There isn't. And neither is there detection as they get popped like the overripe zucchinis they are. I can't go with tomatoes. I already used that one for the overlord, so. And they're not tomatoes. They're, you know, I don't want to think too much about it. But the sugary treat of the infestor is, goes into high impact mode, but that's not going to change the impact level of the ultras as they cleave through. More banelings rolling in. Blinding Cloud's helping out a lot. The multi-layered planetaries and siege tanks will eventually stop this. But he's going to lose the outlying base. And another few dozen SCVs. 14. More scans on the way. He's actually pre-scanning so he can set up his Liberator preemptively. Wow. One of those little details, we don't really see that very often. Most players will just show up with the Liberator and hope for the best. But when you have 9 orbital commands, he's got an entire solar system. And yes, I'm including Pluto of orbital command. Wait, no, why am I assuming you can't have more than one? I'm assuming each planet has an orbital command in this case. Because otherwise, like, I guess there could be a chain of commands. But at that point, it's too restricted. Well, 22 minutes. And we're no closer. He's, yeah, oh wait, 4 scans. Getting a beat on the entire army. While creep may give you vision of everything on your side of the map, the scans give you vision on everything everywhere. And, between the ghosts, the liberators, the tanks, the Thors, you know, neural parasite would certainly be helpful, as these units are very good, and borrowing them wouldn't be a bad idea. But the banelings rolling in, another wave of ghosts taken out. Sue has been remarkably effective with a minimal amount of spellcasters. The corruptors are working their way through. Another planetary down, and ByuN's doesn't have money. Sue isn't rich either. He says, I have 1,000 gas. How many more ultras can I build? And the answer is about 4. 4 more. We've reached that stage. They both just pummeled each other so hard with so many units that cost, in this case, especially Vespine gas, that neither player can remax. Yeah, I don't... For 20 minutes, the war will be fought with ghosts and Thors and infestors and ultralisks. But at the end of the day, it will be Zerglings and Hellbats and Queens and Marines. As everyone here is running out of gas. Sue still has a lot of minerals in the bank. The Queens, now doing pretty well. He actually target fires the drones, which is certainly a choice at this stage. Sue will rebuild a few of them. He's been mining pretty comfortably those side bases. He's mined 6,000 more minerals, but he's actually mined 3,000 less gas, which seems like a bit of an oversight. Should be getting to that soon. I think most of those secondary bases, I've stopped counting at this point. Like, I believe it's 8 bases per side if we're playing fair, but Sue is trying... No, 7. But Sue has 8 because ByuN hasn't been able to break out of his side of the map. But right now, there are 4 planetaries, 9 orbitals. The army composition is 15 ghosts, 12 tanks, 9 Hellbats, a marine drop, and here we are again. We've reverted back to the future. Marines versus Queens. Everybody's maxed out on upgrades besides the ship weapons. I guess ship weapons and flyer carapace. And there's so many Zerglings, but the siege tanks on the low ground are just obliterating everything in that zip code. Oh no. ByuN is still gonna find a way to lose hundreds of Marines, despite graduating off them. Well, he just passed his first 100. Sue? It's kind of crazy how we just, like, they just mauled each other so hard. Nobody sat back. Sue keeps attacking. And now ByuN is out of money anyway. ByuN's been on the back foot the whole time. It's just every time he takes a step back, he retreats behind the most difficult wall of defense that you can deal with. So, God, those blue flame Hellbats are quite effective against those Lings and Bangs. And without the Ultras here, the Marines and Ghosts are able to turn the tables. They just incinerating drones. The Hellbats roasting through. And ByuN just scanning the main army. The drones, there's no one coming to help you. Somehow lighting him up underwater. Late game drone rush. Sue's at 100. Don't do it. Don't do it, Sue! Oh, no. No, he's gonna do it. Don't you do it. Please don't. Ultras. I know what he wants. I don't know what he's going to do, but I know what he wants. He hasn't built a Greater Spire yet. He has 2 Spires, and he still hasn't built a Greater Spire. That tells you how committed. He's at 152 supply, and he has larva here. He's pulling in siege tanks, but I don't, like, you have to kill the siege tanks, which is quite difficult. This hurts me more than it hurts you, he tells the tanks. And the tanks are like, I can see that. Losing half a dozen Banelings and a bunch of Lings with each tank he pulls in. Oh, Sue. He's at 150. He has money in the bank. He has larva. He makes a bunch more Hydras and Lings. I really do think Sue, he's living in the past, and sometimes that's good enough, but he really doesn't want to go Broodlords. Or he's forgotten about them. Or so maybe he's had such traumatic experiences with Broodlords that his brain, like, thinks about the Greater Spire and immediately rejects it. Because there's no reason he shouldn't at least have the Greater Spire right now. It's unfathomable that he doesn't at least build it. He could build 10 of them. Even 3 or 4 Broodlords to force a response. He yanks a ghost in, another ghost. Oh my, this is, you know, the Terran trafficking system is in full effect. SCVs, though, transferring to a base that has mostly been picked over by the Zerg, but there's still about half the gas and same amount of minerals. And that would bring ByuN a little... This is why you don't have any... Actually, he does have plenty of gas. I wonder if he's intentionally not building in order to kind of bait ByuN. But to what end? There's the Greater Spire. And the Carapace... Maybe he was just reading his Prima strategy guide. It's still... This has been like 2 minutes of Sue sitting at far below 200 supply. Despite having money and larva. So... Oh my. The creep-infested planetary. Unfortunately, you cannot infest command centers in StarCraft 2. Which doesn't seem very fair to me. And speaking of... Where's the neural parasite, Sue? He has enough money to research these upgrades like 10 times over. But Sue is busy abducting siege tanks one at a time from the ledge of death. He's lost so many minerals. But ByuN is... He's scrounging. Sue can sustain this. It's painful to watch, I know. What a weird... Here's some corruptors. What do you do? Abduct the Marines? He doesn't have a lurker down. I am... My flabbers are gasted. Right now. What's it gonna be, Sue? Just do it! What is he doing? He has 16 larvae, 8 more corruptors. Is he going for the knockout break? He's trying to remove every last bit. Like, ByuN thought this was gonna be Broodlords, like... Oh my god. That Hellbat won't die. He's gonna kill the Hydra. Ah! What are you gonna bring some Vipers over? Here comes like, really? We couldn't have anyone else do this? What is it? What is going on? Brenda, are you okay over there? No! All right. I said no. 13 Broodlords. But he still has 29 larvae and he's not maxed out. What are you doing, Sue? ByuN has 15 siege tanks, but he has 18 ghosts. 8 more corruptors. That's the rest of Sue's money. That's it right there. The Broodlords are spotted. And now the Broodlings will reign. I don't know if both definitions of that word are going to be accurate, though. We will see. Okay, well, the ghosts will shoot them out of the sky. Sue... Oh. Well... The friendly fire from the siege tank will interrupt the ghost snipes. There are transfuses. He's still got 10 broods. There's no neural parasite. Just more Hellbats. ByuN now has the supply lead. Sue just feels he's lost. It feels like he's lost. He finds his way to more Broodlords. But the last 5 minutes, it just feels like the Broodlords eventually were begrudgingly acknowledged. And now he doesn't have the money for anything else. That's it. The map is almost mined out. The ghosts line up some shots. Doesn't quite kill a brood. There's no overseers here. There are infestors. He actually decloaked the ghost. Gets an EMP. The overseer is sieged out. The drones are trying to Does Sue just slow? Does he just bleed out? Oh. Oh no. Oh no. He's just building more Broodlords, like... Infestor Broodlord is the oldest army, late-game army composition in StarCraft 2 history. But Sue does not have the money to support it anymore. He can't, the production tab is open, it's just empty. As now ByuN is maxed out, he can rebuild dozens of ghosts. Oh my. Wow. Well, ByuN, here come the Ultras and the Banes. Here we go. The siege tanks, he uses a blinding cloud, maybe just in time to save some of the Ultras. Broodlords are working their way through the last Ultra. He forces a pickup somehow. So we'll clear this base. But 3 Thors, 2 Vikings, that's actually the rest of the money that ByuN has. It's not like he has a ton of economy. These are still technically bases that were mostly mined out by Sue. The Broodlords broke through, but... The Ledge of Death. Sue has now lost 20,000 more resources. Only lost a similar amount of gas because he didn't really mine from the gas on his side. He's just gonna lose the brutes here to the ghosts. And that's it. Game over, man. There's nothing left. GG, ByuN reaches the inevitable conclusion. That was a rough one. I'm not, like... I try to maintain some semblance of, you know, unbiased, but that was just... He's lost. It's unclear, both to Sue and myself, where he wanted to go in the late game. Eventually, he kind of drunkenly stumbled into Broodlords, it felt like, but... It wasn't enough. ByuN survived him. He let him wear himself out. And that's not even a game that has me being like, oh look, ghosts, the counter to Zerg. And Protoss, how convenient. No, that's Sue. Have you looked at retirement plans? I don't... That's a bit harsh. But... He just... It almost would have been better, seeing the end of that. If he had just... GG'd at the 20-minute mark. But you... Well, post-youth. Remarkably appropriate here. Going into game 2. See if Sue can shake that one off. As... Wow. I was really hoping for some big turnaround. I think he wanted to build Ultras. That moment of... empty production tab, money in the bank, larva in the bank. But he knew it wasn't gonna be it. But he didn't want to do anything else. Honestly, it felt like... You know what that reminded me the most of? Is me playing against Turtle Terran on the ladder. And if any gameplay in this level of games reminds me of me, that's not a good sign. Because sometimes it's just like, well, I know how you're... I've watched Cyril do it. But do I really want to try to micro-burrowed infestors for the next 16 minutes? Well, the queen. Sir! Sir! Where are you? Oh my god. She's still got ByuN? Asleep at the wheel for a moment there. Or just perfectly calculated. No, I think he didn't expect the queen to actually keep going. But she is quite vengeful after that one. I'm having a hard time reconciling that. But he was doing a good job with the Ultra Bane. It's just, at some point after the 8th or 9th planetary. Stim. Reactored Hellion. ByuN has 3 CCs. He's working his way towards double medevac and a whole bunch of Marines. The Queens? Well, I strongly disagree with the Reaper. We'll see if ByuN... Oh, he's clear. It's such a bait. Oh my god. That was such an obvious... Oh no. And they come right in. This was masterfully done, but... God, it was so clear. The Reaper led him away, and now the Hellions come in. And, a good block with the Evo Chamber. Only 6 drones. 7. It's still manageable. The Zerglings come out, and the Hellions will be hunted down. 7 drones. It could have been so much worse. Still, well, actually 7 drones for 4 Hellions at this stage of the game. He doesn't get to slow down the creep. He's not going to have any semblance of map control, which means Su has room to recover here. He has not long, but enough time to get his economy back in shape and get some real control of the map. And that's going to be absolutely critical against the impending medevacs. ByuN going for the base right under his main. I like that. It seems like a riskier proposition, but as Terran, you usually want to be going forward. You want to be closer to their base. You want to have your attack path. You want to defend on your attack path. So when you expand, say, to the left side, then you are moving away. If you have to deal with a counterattack, anything like that, your units are further away from that attack. So it actually makes a lot of sense. And this base is easier to defend with siege tanks on the high ground, so there's also that. As we've seen, ByuN, even though the Widow Mine got nerfed and is now and I quote most Terrans in the Diamond League, a completely useless unit. And now Zerg has no options. I mean, Terran has no options against Zerg. It seems like the siege tank, which has had no patch changes in many years, pretty much since it couldn't fly anymore in siege mode. It seems like the siege tank is still pretty good at taking out large groups of units from a significant range. So, thankfully, we had that option. Which I will quote myself in saying, hey, siege tanks still exist and they're amazing. While we were debating the Widowmine nerf. But the time for debates has ended as ByuN runs up. He loses 12. He actually, despite my pontificating over here, he saw the Zerglings. He saw the Zerglings hitting the Chutoy Depot. And he decided, all right, well, they're probably pretty busy. He just baited himself. He did the exact same thing to himself that he just did to Su. He's like, well, what if I just moved my units out of position? The reinforcements will probably cover it. They did not. He lost 13 SCVs. A completely unforced error, as ByuN thought he could use the opportunity to counterattack and potentially win the game, but Su was prepared for it. He gets the damage done, and right now, Su, I would put him with a marginal advantage. I say marginal. He has the economy, he has the production, and he currently has the supply. But ByuN does have those 3 bases, and he has 2-2 on the way with a potential upgrade advantage. So Su will have the sheer army supply. But the effectiveness of that army is, well, it depends. Medevacs. 1 queen, not enough to slow this down. 3, on the other hand, is much more to contemplate. And these Marines shut down. 3 siege tanks. Roach Ravager. Now, Su doing just a big Roach Ravager timing. Gonna try to smash his way through. ByuN's still about a minute out from those 2-2 upgrades, and until he gets them. Right now, Sue's army supply almost double. And he has the Ravager count to bring it down on ByuN to great effect. Siege tanks on the high ground. He has no vision up to that. He saves a couple tanks, retreats them back. The depots are helping to zone out, but they'll actually supply block ByuN now. Both sides supply blocked. And Queen's here as well, though I don't think she meant to be. Another wave of corrosive bow knocks out a siege tank and a medevac. Another wave continuing forward. But the creeping barrage here of Roach Ravager starting to get real critical damage done. The siege tank count isn't high enough, and the bio might finish its upgrades, but there's not going to be much bio left to take advantage of it. 22 SCVs dead. We've arrived! We're a little late, it seems, but the idea is what counts, right? No, Susan. No, it doesn't. Gold base being taken, but Sue coming in for another round. Not going to try to tech up here. He realizes how that went last time. And instead is going to try to end it right here and right now. The Roach Ravager coming in. ByuN, his orbital command already taking critical damage. The siege tank taken out. There's still those 2 tanks on the high ground shelling. Getting a lot of damage done. The field runs red with the blood of Terran and Zerg alike. Another... It's just so many Ravagers. The SCVs are pulled again. More will die. Corrosive bios are landing in the midst of the army. ByuN, down to a single-digit Marine Marauder, tries to save him. But that may just be too much. ByuN getting himself caught out too many times. And now, in much shorter order, looks like he's taking he's not going to give it up yet because he has more than 0 Marines and Marauders and any amount of medevacs. But the medevacs themselves are out of energy. There's been nothing to slow down Sue's production. 3 mules will drop. The bio army, he hasn't even taken down the mineral wall yet. So, Sue will refill. But these units have to walk even further around. The gold base is taken. Sue gotta start mining from it. And that's only gonna make it harder for ByuN to actually compete with this. He started 3-3. It's already halfway done. Those upgrades are his advantage. That is all he has to really lean on. The corrosive biles continue to rain down. Has to micro back. Repaired the command center. Mules are mining. SCVs are pulled yet again. More will die. The Roach Ravager count is so damn high. The medevacs are still able to fly, but the Marine Marauder will soon know how to die. And all ByuN can do is continue to sigh as the orbital command now in the sky. Things have gone notably awry. And all that's left is for Terrans to cry. Okay, he's not GGing yet. I really thought we'd put a nice little exclamation point on the end. But that's the orbital. And GG. Sue strikes back with what was desperately needed. A strong mid-game timing. He goes back to the spawning pool and says, never again with that hive tech. All right, it's not working for us. And he knocks him out. ByuN, not setting himself up, not able to get entrenched, not able to set up. Believe it or not, if he doesn't have 10 planetaries and 20 siege tanks, it becomes a little easier to attack. I think ByuN maybe a bit too overconfident with his Marine medevac, and Sue able to take advantage of that to draw the score even. As we go in to the final game on Alcyone. Oh god, another late game map. But 2 Rex Reaper for ByuN. Alcyone, probably home to our Oceanborn, Alcyone, and Crimson Court. Though Crimson Court is a bit of a split because so many players want to keep it from going late game. But The Oceanborn and Alcyone are two macro late game maps, as it's just so hard to end the game, especially for Zerg, if your opponent is intent on staying defensive. This is because the third and fourth bases are very defensible locations. The Watchtower is quite a choke point, but unlike Oceanborn, there are better attack paths in towards the outlying bases. Like, once it comes down to it. And there's just a huge amount of distance between the northern and southern bases on the map. So there's a lot of area to work with. This doesn't mean that Ultras and Banelings will suddenly become the most effective late game units. I don't think that'll ever be true when Ghosts still exist, but it gives them more opportunity if we get there. Removes the tumor, pops the queen, but Zergling speed. Sue went for a slightly quicker Zergling speed. So Zergling speed usually finishes at about 340. Literally just 10 seconds quicker, but ByuN overstayed his welcome. And the Reapers are dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What a beautiful choice to get that Zergling speed early. I didn't even really pay attention to it, and ByuN clearly didn't notice it. But it must have cut a few drones out there in order to make sure he would have it in a timely manner. And yes, it is mapped out almost to the second by these players. So Sue getting it 15 seconds earlier. ByuN thought he had another poke in with the Reapers and another Brenda bounce around with the grenades, but no. Now he has nothing. Well, he has 3 command centers, because of course he does, but otherwise nothing. Okay, he has no Reapers, if we're really going to be pedantic about it. You know what he doesn't have? He also doesn't have a YouTube channel where he begs for likes and subscribes at awkward timings in the middle of his own games. So there's that as well. It's not weird. They made it this far. All right, if they survived the commentary in game 1, it's not so bad now. I don't. Double NG Bay. It's gonna be Bio yet again. The Watchtower gives vision. Sue moved it, but the Watchtower... apparently Sue doesn't know it either. But the Watchtower gives vision of these... Essentially, they're bait, is what they are. You put an Overlord there, and they'll see it. Quite easily. So, Sue even falling for it. Roach is on the way. Banshee. Does it have cloak? No, just one Banshee. The greatest cloak is no cloak at all. You create the threat without having to invest. Though, of course, cloak Banshees themselves can get a lot of damage done, so. But Sue not going to make the same mistake twice. You're going for the roaches again. Don't blame him for it. A carapace upgrade to cover everything, as opposed to any attack upgrades, which are more focused. Siege tanks on the way. Roach Ravager, just all out. So this likely will be just a mass Roach Ravager style, as opposed to the roaches into Ling Bane we sometimes see. Eventually, we'll likely get to Ling Bane, assuming he's not able to just crush ByuN outright. But he is much more focused. And, okay, alright, those medevacs. Guys, struggling to get in the medevac so hard. Infantry, 1-1, finishing same time as that carapace upgrade. Zerg and Terran upgrades are the same amount of time at each level, so easy enough to compare them. Armory not quite done yet. That means Sue will have the advantage. To some extent, at least in carapace upgrades. A changeling. Oh, convince the Marine that there was nothing to worry about. Then the roach shows up. Infestation pit's on the way. Mainling nest as well. There's our hive. +2 for ByuN. Just building up back at home. Medevac's patching everything up. Checkerboard depots to make life difficult for any roaches or ravagers or zerglings that try to come through there. Don't want to wall them off entirely, just want to make it hard for them to get to the siege tanks. Maximize that splash damage. Priest him. Going for the creep. Queen retreats quickly. The roach ravager boxes out. Sue not too focused on the creep spread this game. Single banshee. More ravagers. And hive. Nearly completed, but the Marines, there's no easy anti-air. The Queens will poke and prod. And then remind the medevacs that they can move further out of range. There's the Ghost Academy. Unprovoked this time. And yes, that's how I'm going to phrase it. As sometimes ByuN will need a whole lot of inspiration to go for the Ghost, but not wasting any time on them now. By the time the hive, any hive units are on the field, the Ghost Academy will be done. Vipers are now in production. 3 more racks, gonna bring them up to 8. I'm assuming we're gonna see tech labs on all of them. And +2 infantry armor and weapons. All completed. Sue has not made any attempt to counterattack or to smash any of these bases. Being content to sit back, build up. But with the Vipers, Adrenal Gland, +1 melee, I don't think he's going to be sitting back much longer. The double drop pokes in. There's plenty of units down there. I'm not sure. Yeah, well, going to try to go in towards the main. Just patrolling back and forth. Ultralisk Caverns on the way, but so are 4 ghosts. Here we go again. The medevacs are just on a patrol path. Make it a little harder for them to get picked off by corrosive bow. And guns down 1 queen. ByuN, those Marines slurped up at the last moment. Gonna try to defend the backside of the rocks while they're still there. Not really taking the opportunity yet. There we go. The Roach Ravager should be able to still get the job done. Does indeed. Opens up the path towards the 4th base. And that's a lot of Roachling Bane. Adrenal Glands is done for the Zerglings, +1 melee for everything that has to get up close and personal. Chitinous Plating is on the way for the Ultralisks. And the medevacs thread the needle. Now there's a lot of space there, but will hold their ground. Targets down some Banes. Actually an awkward positioning. Hard for the Banelings to get past the Zerglings. Parasitic Bomb, though, on the medevacs. Not being stingy with it. 1 will go down. Drops 1 Marine. Is the other medevac damaged enough? Not quite. Strong gust of wind might take it out, but drops out the Marines and kind of waits to die. 5 command centers at a time. And more siege tanks on the way. All right, this is going to not be the moment of truth, but like more like a full feature-length episode of truth here for Sue. Have you figured it out? Can you improve on the excruciating performance of Game 1? I've got a lot of doubts, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of it. He's clearly shown he can bounce back with that last game. that he wasn't, like, crushed as emotionally as I was. And there's still a lot of time before we get to that mined out scenario. There are 3 more factories on the way. But Sue is maxed out with way more money in the bank. He's taken every base on his side of the map. Oh my god, those depots. Ah. There's so many command center siege tanks tucked into every corner. ByuN is overlapping his defenses. He's got enough command centers to start replacing or improving those SCVs. The orbital count is so damn high. And climbing. Yeah, he's got him. Yeah. A dozen siege tanks building 2 at a time. I have +2 mech weapons done. How far will Sue carry this forward? There are 8 ghosts on the field. Second armory on the way. So we're going to see the ship weapons and plating as well. 2 more command centers. How many is too many orbitals? ByuN says, what a silly question. It's not even double digits yet. The command centers per minute is now reaching well over 1, as he's going to be at 16 or 17 command centers at the 14-minute mark. Well, EMP misses the fight. He actually dodged the ghost. He dodged 2 more EMPs. Oh, ByuN missing it. He has to really up the sensitivity on his controller. Okay, teacher, I have a point to make. I don't know why I raised my hand, like I need to interrupt myself. Like, Winter, can I say something? All right, someone who has a brain, go ahead. He's getting neural parasite. Oh, thanks, sweet Terran Jesus. Which I think is just Jesus, but... Neural parasite. In general. Yes, there are no Thors. But as Dark has taught us, ghosts are pretty good, even against ghosts. Getting even 2 or 3 siege tanks in the fight, just in general, there was no reason we couldn't see it in Game 1. So this is a redemption arc, potentially. This is more command centers than your map can handle right now. EMPs are good here. It's going to be 22 command centers. It's a fungal. The infestors are revealed. He's just whipping out EMPs. That's obscene. The drones! Yeah, get them, drones! Or predator drones at the... There's a planetary here in the middle of the map. Of course there is. Not anymore. The drones could delay some of these command centers. Not sure that's a real meaningful... ByuN? Ah! Chasing down the drones. The refugees from the hatcheries. He's gonna build more command... Could you stop? 9 orbitals. 3 vanilla command centers. 4 planetaries. He's gonna drop another one down in the corner. You can see it on the minimap. Like, this is ridiculous. Spore crawler. Not even on creep. Takes down a Viking. Some vengeance. Sue has 12,000, 6,000 in the bank. But no matter how rich you are, doesn't mean you can buy a solution to beating siege tanks and ghosts. Well, parasitic bomb. More snipes. Not gonna let ByuN take base on this side of the map. The fusion core is over here. So we may be able to at least delay advanced ballistics. Another army in the bottom right corner. will take down a hatchery unchallenged. Sue is already re-expanding behind. 118 Zerglings in production. And 2 Ultras. I don't even know I had that much supply open. I have my... Well, actually, yeah, I do. But no. The infestors are running forward, wishing they could throw water balloons out. But 100 more Zerglings. Well, he's gonna need 100 more on top of that. That is enough links. The creep is 2/3 of the way across the map. There are now 11 orbital commands. But get off my creep! Brenda, but our creep is like at their base. Exactly, Lucille. Exactly. Well, the siege tanks getting overrun. The planetary's not able to thin out the lings in time. Sue dips nearly 100 supply down and doesn't have that much larva in the bank, but that won't stop him from building as much of the same thing again as he can. There's only 3 queens, and they were all at the front, so the injects are somewhat lacking. Ah, yes, the Venn scans. He's building a planetary at a base that's currently burning. Amusingly, if you take enough damage while a command center is building, it doesn't burn. But as soon as the command center finishes, it spontaneously bursts into flames. Which is just one of those interesting laws of StarCraft physics. Oh my. Who are you gonna call, Sue? You have one choice. You're up against 11 orbital commands. Where's the Ghostbusters? Ultras, but Baneling's interrupting the snipes. Not able to take out all of the Ultras with him. 6 Liberators at a time. Thors, Liberators. More Ultras on the way. Sue, it seems like he's committed this time. He hasn't even built a Spire. That's not true. He has built a Spire. He's literally upgrading Flyer Weapons level 2 right now. Wow, that was a bit of a... Edit that out, Jimmy. The Ghost, does he not have Ghost Cloak? I think he does. Well, there are Overseers. Blinding Cloud. Sue's just continuing forward. Many of the Ghosts go down. Plenty more able to line up the snipes, but they're actually mostly out of energy. The Corruptors wipe out more. And they're Liberators right there, guys. All right, turn around. The Liberators are actually trying to fight the Corruptors directly, anti-air. But ByuN loses a huge amount of his army. He's lost 37 Ghosts. You'd love to see it. I'm unbiased casting. But he just expected the Ghosts to intimidate Sue to turning around. But no, Sue is going to build 3 more Ultras and however many legs he has larva for. He's at 168 supply. All right, this is it, Sue. You've got him on the ropes. You could... Will he be able to financially... If any of these bases drop, he could drop dozens of mules. The income right now has finally swung back into Sue's favor. Mount Mule there has dropped into the canyon of economic despair. But then the mules rain down. And the magical stimulus package. Oh my god, so many siege tanks. And Liberators and Thors. It's a box art game. Just building a planetary up here. Let's take a look at that. Oh no. Inflation is real. ByuN actively devaluing the buying power of the mineral right now. Cornering the Vespine gas market. Unfortunately, mules can't mine gas. We tested that for a couple weeks in the Legacy of the Void beta, and even Terrans were like, yeah, this is probably a bit much. Oh yeah, it completely ruined everything. It was... There's a reason why there are no macro mechanics for gas. It's because it completely... Yeah. Imagine. ByuN hoping for it right now. A whole bunch more drones gonna be gunned down, but Su still has the economy. He has those infestors. We haven't really seen... I don't think we've seen a single neural parasite yet. But I expect to see... Well, neural parasite will be likely at the end of the game. When either one, all Su has left are infestors and he's dying. Or two, he actually uses them to great effect. And crushes ByuN's army to the point he can't rebuild. And the second one's looking a bit more likely right now, but throws out some fungals, but you can't go up there. Throws out a fungal, but it just mildly inconveniences all those units. Without a follow-up, there's just not enough damage. 3 more infestors, 11 more banes, 3 more ultras, and 42 more lings. Su still has larva. Like, I admire his restraint in not making it just 12 ultras. Okay? But he's not holding back entirely. He builds even more ultras. 6 more. There's going to be 8 ultras on the field. Still throwing in those infestors. God. ByuN manages to grab the rich Vespine gas. Probably the most valuable location on the map for him right now. The Zergling's gonna shut that down. The ghosts are all clumped up. At least the vast majority of them, and Su's gonna go for it. Does he have any Vipers? No! The Valley of Death here! The Venn diagram of freedom, the infestors! They do nothing! The EMPs! Oh no! Well, the Ultras will break through, but the ghosts line up their shots. Oh, but wait, there's more! The Ultras on the north side. Apparently, quantity has a quality all its own. As Su actually breaks that position. At what cost? Everything. Every single unit besides these badly bruised Ultras. These completely drained of energy infestors and a handful of corruptors that had nothing shoot at them. But it's not the Vanguard that breaks through. It's the follow-up. And now Su has 6 more Ultras for like the 74th time this series. And a bunch of Zerglings in production. And ByuN has 3. Gas. No, that's not 300. Not 3,000. Not 3 gas geysers. The number, the integer, 3. Okay, well now we just got some more. But, believe it or not, 3 gas is not enough. He's completely out of gas. And Su still can build more Ultras. And while Su can build Ultras, there is a dream. There is a way. The Swarm is coming in with another wave. And ByuN, his last stand, he's back to the Marines. He's back to the Hellbats. But the Ultras are cleaving through everything. The Banelings are washing across. And GG before the Ultras finish slaughtering them. And Su, Game 1 being one of the most painful games I have ever watched. And I can say this because he won now. Being one of the most painful games I've ever seen in professional StarCraft 2, especially in current year. Turning it all the way around. And the thing is, he didn't change his tune. He just found a different key and unlocked the victory in another incredibly arduous game. But this time, after 19 Ultras managed to outdo 56 Ghosts and 30 Siege Techs, Su will be the victor. Or at least, the survivor. Wow. Well, thank you for watching till the end. I don't think that's what many of you expected, and honestly, I didn't know how it ended. I just knew they were long games. I could tell by the file sizes. I had my suspicions when I saw that many Ghosts. But Su perseveres. Probably longer than most people making comments about how imba Ghosts are, but I want to make it clear. there are plenty of games I want to look at and complain about ghosts. But these games, Sue won despite his efforts, as opposed to, well, there's something to be said about tenacity. And that's the reason why these players are still playing after over a decade. But I hope it made your day a little bit better. I've said enough. All right, my voice is almost gone after that one. That doesn't happen too much nowadays, but hope it made your day a little bit better. Thank you for watching. If you got the means of motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership if that's still a thing. Either way, liking and subscribing is still free. For now. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill. Maybe not 20 command centers, BN. What the hell?